What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
and once again we're back at it to bring you guys more enticing videos on Warhammer 40K in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And that is what Magos Dominus has done. He says, who could defeat the Emperor of Mankind?
That's a good question. Yeah, because when you think about the Emperor, like, he's the big E. Like, he is the pinnacle of humanity. This dude created the Primarchs. Like, he foresaw the future. He basically could do just about anything that he set his mind to.
He's basically a god.
He is, essentially. He is a god in living form. And, like, the only thing that can take him down is himself. And that's his humanity. That's what I mean by that. He loved his creations, his children, the Primarch, so much that he couldn't bring himself to slay the betrayer, Horus, even though he knew that Horus was too far gone. The forces of chaos were basically puppeteering him and using him as a pawn, and the Emperor kind of knew that and felt sorry and remorse, and that's why he couldn't strike him down.
Yeah.
So I guess lore-wise, the only one that could beat the Emperor is himself.
Yeah, because the Emperor, right now, like if you just started playing, you would think like, oh, he's a corpse basically. He's on a throne. But like he went up against the four Chaos Gods, was able to get out of that situation alive, which is crazy, especially once you start to realize that like the Chaos Gods are just indestructible almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's fought a literal star god, the Catan.
The Void Dragon.
Yeah, and the strongest war boss in the history of all of the orcs, whatever.
The Beast, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those situations where he is a really badass fighter and just, like I said, like a deity basically for humanity. The only thing that defeated him was his own like remorse and sadness and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which goes to show, yeah.
Yeah, because you could say, oh, it was the Chaos Gods that bested him because it was their plan to use Horus and use it against him. But no, like the Emperor could have killed Horus at any time.
Yeah, and his goal, I think, at the end of the day, was to like preserve this whole like humanity first type of situation. Whereas he understood that like the Primarchs are the ones that are fighting; these are my children. But at the end of the day, they are a means to an end.
Yeah, a tool.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, yeah, it must be weird to have your children that aren't really humans, built to protect humanity, now betray you. So now the tool that you're using is now actually hurting the thing that you're trying to keep safe.
Like when you're trying to like nail something on the wall and the hammer hits your thumb.
Yeah. What do you do in that situation?
You strike them down. Yeah. Smite them.
You break the hammer.
Yeah. Bite it.
Have you ever broken a hammer?
No, I don't think so.
I think I've broken too many hammers.
I think I don't use hammers enough to break that many.
It's always like I don't understand why they don't make a solid piece. It's always just the top part
with the metal, or with the wood.
The wood.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, obviously the wood breaks.
Just make it one piece.
Yeah.
There are some like that, but
probably expensive.
They are.
Meanwhile, we're paying $200 for a night. Yeah.
Yeah.
And next question.
This one is by Timothy Armstrong. What exactly happened to Space Marines if they get injured and their gene seed gets destroyed, but they don't die?
So if they're barely alive, then their gene seed is not harvested, then they just get put into a dreadnought.
Yeah.
Is that what he meant?
That's the only thing I could think of. Because I'm trying to... Because even if your gene seed is still intact and you're just injured, you still get put into a dreadnought.
Yeah.
I don't see too many instances where your gene seed's fucked up, but they're not.
Yeah. There are situations where if it's dead, that's what the whole point of that one weapon that the apothecary carries.
The little drill thing.
Yeah, like it goes into the base of the cranium.
Yeah. No, it's like back here. No.
Yeah. And then sucks out the gene seed organ.
Narthecium? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah, sounds familiar. This next one is by James Kiltz. What do the Necrons think of the Men of Iron?
Probably not much. Necrons are just awakening, so they were still in their great sleep during the Men of Iron days. If right now they would probably just think of the Men of Iron as just another weapon that is like less than to their technology, because they have canoptic constructs.
Yeah.
Which I think a canoptic construct is way more powerful than a Men of Iron.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Easily the Necrons have like probably the best technology, even though it's like thousands of years old. And you got to think too, like when you think of Necrons thinking of other races, most of them don't think. They have programs. Yeah. The only ones that do like think and kept their personalities intact are like the Royals, like the HQs and whatnot.
Sometimes when I think about, so all of the, what are they called? The engineers for the Necrons?
Cryptex?
Yeah, like Cryptex and stuff like that, when they're actually experimenting and pushing the boundaries of technology for the Necrons, for them to like stop and go back to the Men of Iron and look at the Men of Iron would be equivalent to like us who we've been playing 40K for so long, to stop playing 40K, this game that like has so many aspects of the hobby, and go back to playing HeroClix. This is not gonna happen.
Yeah. It literally is like, oh, you're over here making like 4D technology, and then you see like an Atari.
Yeah. Next question comes from Return Fire. Don't you think that the Tyranids are a ripoff of the Reapers in Mass Effect? With indoctrination, the Great Devourer cult, and everything, I see more and more similarities. We don't hear the Hellhounds no more. What's up with them? So the first question is, I don't think so, because the Tyranids are a ripoff of Alien, in terms of their aesthetic, and also, well, no, the Alien isn't a hive mind, is it?
No, they do have like Norn queens. They have alien queens. Xenomorphs are pretty cool when you like actually look into like the biology, and like they've got like acid blood, and then you go into like the origins of like Prometheus.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So you could see a lot of things that, like you were saying, GW borrowed from the Alien franchise. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
and I think it's a conglomeration of different things too, of just like different aspects put into the Tyranids.
Yeah.
Mass Effect came after the Tyranids were a thing, because Mass Effect came out when we were in high school maybe.
I think so. Yeah, around that time.
And then we've been playing 40K since early middle school or elementary. Yeah.
I think it was like 5th grade. We were like dipping our toes into the 40K pool.
Yeah, and there was already like Tyranids established, Tower established, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And then as far as the Hellhounds, they're still here.
Just, like, literally minutes ago, our buddy just said he just bought some Hellhounds.
Yeah.
So, we don't know what they're going to be in 9th edition yet, because obviously the Guard Codex isn't out yet. Sorry, the Astra Militarum Codex isn't out yet, but... Yeah.
Which ones are the Hellhounds? What do they look like?
They're like those... They look like Chimera tanks, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're tanks for the Guard.
Tanks for the Guard are, I don't know, every single time I see somebody that has them well painted, it's like, oh, I want a Guard army. And the ones that you were showing had like camo.
And, like netting on it.
They go all out.
Yeah.
Next question.
This is a pretty interesting one by Tweaker51. What if instead of going Chaos, the Traitor Primarchs went Zeno? What faction do you think they would join? Like Angron going Orc, Conrad going Dark Eldar, etc.
I like this style of fan, like homebrewing. I've seen it before, and I think Tyranids would be a really cool combination. Like, there's already people that make certain Space Marine chapters that have like carapace armor that they took, and it's supposed to be like a trophy and stuff like that. But actually combining the Tyranids with like Space Marines would be really badass.
Yeah. That's a really cool concept. I think my favorite one has been the Tau Space Marines. Like, there's a bunch of like ArtStation works of like really intricate stuff, and they look really badass. The color scheme, the fusion of their plasma weapons with like their swords and stuff like that. That looks pretty cool.
It's like a, I feel like it's Digimon. Now that I think about it, every single... Like, putting the Space Marines with every single faction would be amazing. Dark Eldar, like, you have basically gladiatorial Space Marines fighting in Camera. The Eldar, you have, like, this sleek, probably, like, speeder style, but without the whole Jakatai Khan aesthetic. But yeah, it would be really awesome. Oh, Necron,
Necron would be pretty cool.
Death Watch, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think the hardest one to integrate into like a Zeno into Space Marines would probably be, what are they called? They're from the Necromunda. Like not the gangs, but I think like they got like weird machines with like almost like a tarantula looking thing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the Ambles.
It's like something like that. Yeah. Because they just look like robots.
Yeah. Oh, that's because they're wearing armor. If you take that armor out, their lore is actually really interesting because like humanity is using them.
Yeah.
As like mining things. But if you take that off, they're just a giant. What's the Pokemon with the pinchers?
Pincer, yeah. Little Heracrosses. But yeah, because I feel like that's just like giving them Centurion armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see them with like multiple eyes though.
Like 3. Those are navigators. Justice 777. Who would win in a fight? A Space Hulk full of Tyranids or a Tyranid full of Space Hulks? A Tyranid full of Space Hulks. Are these Space Hulks like full of things?
And wait, what was the top, at the top of the question was what?
Who would win between a Space Hulk full of Tyranids or a Tyranid full of Space Hulks?
Oh, the Tyranid full of Space Hulks, because the Space Hulks are hulks. They're massive ships. So if you have a Tyranid bioform, basically a hive bioship big enough to fit all of these Space Hulks inside, you're talking of something that's probably like as big as a sector. That's scary.
That is pretty scary.
One single organ. I guess you could argue that that's the Hive Fleet.
Yeah. And then he's got a part 2. Who's your favorite rapper? I know back in the day it used to be Marshall Mathers / Slim Shady / Eminem / LL Cool J. No, yeah, it was Eminem. He was the first CD I ever bought with my own monies. And I know some of you are like, CD, what the heck is that? Please don't say that. That'll hurt my soul if I read that in the comments.
I hope that like it doesn't feel like our demographic is very young.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope that that's not a surprise to some of you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are going to come out and say, I remember when they were, what are called, diss tracks.
Yeah. My 8-track.
Yeah. Eminem was cool. I like it. Yeah. Recently, I don't think I've been listening to that much rap. But when I was younger, I was really into Mos Def. And,
you were into Common pretty big.
Common, yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
Go ahead.
This question comes from Puppy Espy. He says, Pregunta. If being in the throne room for more than a few minutes can kill a normal human, how could Alicia Dominica, along with the other original founding nuns, go to the throne room, have a good chat, and later come out in order to kill Dogecoin Van Dyer? Thanks, guys. Dogecoin Van Dyer, I like that. I'm going to do something with that. And I think it's because narratively it works.
The Emperor allowed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not just like, the Emperor's not just going to let any like rando walk into the throne room. But yeah, this was something that Gouge was like the Reign of Terror, the Reign of Blood was like horrible for humanity. Obviously the Emperor didn't want this going on, so he's like, yeah, let me talk to her.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. Next question.
This one is by Andrea Nechy. If you were to change the fate of any character in the lore, how would you change it?
I don't think Horus should have died. I think it would have been so badass to have Horus not die, and then him being a villain that like exists and might one day come back. Because right now, for the good guys, the loyalists, you have the Emperor. Like if the Emperor ever comes back as a playable model, that's gonna be amazing. And I think it's in the back of everybody's mind, because we've gotten questions before of like, what would the Emperor coming back look like? Now, for Chaos, or for the bad guys, you don't really have that unless you talk about the Chaos gods.
Right.
But if you had Horus, then all of a sudden he becomes like the opposite of the God Emperor. So he's like a yin to a yang kind of thing.
Right. And we ain't talking about the Yang Yang twins.
Nah. That was a good reference too.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool too. But the thing is, like, do you still think if Horus never died, he'd still be a pawn of chaos, or do you think the Chaos Gods would have like taken their power back after he failed?
That would be like the fun narrative exploration, I guess, because like would he? It would be really nice if he was just super he repented, but at the same time realized that like, well, I made that decision, I'm screwed now, so I have to continue to act the way that I was acting.
Yeah,
that would be really cool to explore.
Right, it'd be pretty interesting. Also, the dynamic between him and Abaddon, and like after every crusade where he's failing, and like how does Horus reprimand him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like just as a background figure, that would be really cool.
Yeah, like even if like let's say he didn't die, but he got like really fucked up, and he's like having to like go into like the warp or whatever corner of the galaxy to kind of recuperate, and it's like, well, when's he gonna make his move? What's he doing behind the shadows? How's he like helping Chaos to screw with the Emperor and stuff like that?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'll go with that answer. Because I was going to say Sanguinius, but it's like he's in limbo right now. We don't know if he is dead or if he's just in near-death state in stasis.
The cool thing about Sanguinius coming back, because normally I say it's not a good idea, but if I were to say, like, here's the positives of Sanguinius coming back, he's just really badass. Yeah. The dude's an angel.
Tiene alas el güey.
Yes.
Like, what's more badass than that? Dude's got wings.
Yeah.
This one's by Oscar. Just Oscar, that's it. Nothing 40K related. Just a regular picture of Oscar as his thumbnail.
Oscar the Grouch?
No, it's the regular dude named Oscar.
Oh.
See?
Yeah, that's... I'm going to go to his page. What's going on this page? Oh, yes, he posts stuff.
Yeah, he has. He says, if you were in charge of 40K lore and tabletop, what would you do differently than GW? So we just had one, if we could change something lore-wise, now in the tabletop. I like templates. I like using them in 5th edition. Because you played orcs, so it felt nice to just like plop, and then your whole squad just disappeared.
Yeah, but it also made... I think templates made me think like more of like, all right, I'm going to spread out my army. And when you focus more on movement, when you have 120 boys, it sucks the fun out of a portion of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like during that whole time, in the back of my mind, I would always think like, why didn't I choose an elite army? Like, it's annoying in that in the movement phase,
mostly your time is spent moving instead of doing the rest of the game.
Yeah, so I didn't like that aspect of it. And moving trays would have been nice, but we didn't have that back then.
Right. I know. We were talking. I don't know who brought it up. I know we were talking about magnetizing the board and like putting magnets on the models. Yeah. And then we could just like move them that way.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I think right now, if I were to change something, it's just that every single faction that gets a new codex becomes the meta.
Yeah, that's true.
For like the first like month before they get what is it called?
FAQs.
Yeah, I don't like that because like now I know that like, all right, tower coming up, tower gonna be the powerhouse.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like about GW is like they release too much stuff all at once, and it's hard to figure out like, okay, did this already come out? Well, hold on, they're already talking about Chaos and Eldar, but the Custodes didn't even come out yet. But then they talked about Tau before that, so it's like, whoa, like, what do I focus on? Yeah, it's almost like information overload.
Speaking of which, what codex are we up to now?
So last Saturday, the pre-orders for Genestealer Cults and Custodes came out. Barely. Yeah. So they're about to officially release this weekend. And then after that, it's the Tau, and then the Chaos and Eldar box set.
It would be nice to go to the hobby store this weekend then. Yeah. Because did you end up picking up the Adeptus Custodes Codex?
No, I was going to go pre-order it, but it was icy.
We should go next week, and then I can pick up Genestealer Cult.
Yeah.
As if I'm going to finish my Genestealer Cult army.
You still haven't played the new orcs yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the AdMech.
Yeah, or the AdMech. Last question. This one is by J-Day. Do you think the Guard will ever get a Primaris type upgrade, best armor, or weapons?
They kind of already have one with the Tempestus Scions.
Yeah.
They're not Primaris in any way. They're just more elite soldiers.
Yeah.
Kind of like how you have like the army, and then you have like SEALs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and hopefully we get like more or some type of like addition to that unit that's infantry based, because we don't really have that. Like with the Tempestus Scions, if you play them, it's just those are your troops, and then you have the Taurochs.
Yeah, it's like a transport type thing.
And then you're just playing Imperial Guard. So it's like, I wish they had like extra stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, as always. Sound Alchemist.
Gershwin.
We are out.